Hello everyone, this is Spot, and welcome to Galactic Civilizations 2. Now, if you know anything about Galactic Civilization, you might be going, Spot, Galactic Civilizations 2? Isn't there a 3 out now? Ah, you were right, there is a 3 out now. But it's not really my cup of coffee, let's just say that. And, more importantly, Galciv 2, after being released, wow, when was it? Well, with the Dreadlords expansion and everything, it was 2006, right? Has actually had a patch within the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah, a patch on a game that old. Fixes some stuff, changes a few things over, tweaks a few things, and yeah, I'm really excited to get into it. I thought, you know what, I should do a short Let's Play on this because it is arguably the best space-based 4X game ever. And it is in space, and 4X games in space can be a bit dull at times. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit hyped up. We'll see. We're going to go with a small galaxy size because we don't want this to go super long. We've got Research, Alliance, Influence, and Ascension for victory conditions. Allow surrenders. We're just going to go with all of these. I usually do something like, I forget which one of these is actually, I think Ascension. Actually, it has to do with the amount of worlds that you actually have to own out of the galaxy to win. It's kind of like a supremacy thing. I'm going to keep all of these as normal of what their default settings are. And we're going to go to next. Okay, man, it's been a long time since I played this game, so there's some things that I remember, there's some things I don't at all. I do remember, yeah, diplomacy. We want diplomacy, and I'll explain why that's a huge deal here soon. Military production is actually lower, social production is lower, speed is higher, economics is higher, trade routes +1, logistics. All right, we're just going to go with the Terran Alliance. Humans, whatever. There are others. I remember these guys can be bad news, if I remember correctly, and yeah, several of these can be bad news. These guys can be bad news. And these guys, yeah, these guys have +20 military production. Yeah, they're pretty hardcore, but they have really crappy diplomacy. We're going to rely on diplomacy quite a bit. All right, so we have a special ability, Super Diplomat. Honestly, I don't even know how to. Skilled Negotiators have strong influence. That's great. I don't even remember how to use special abilities. We're gonna wing it. It's gonna be fine. Okay. Terran Alliance, leader name is Spot. Homeworld is Earth. That's fine. Political, we can change all this. We're mercantile right now. That's fine. Appearance is fine. Abilities, we're gonna keep all these as the default. I'm just gonna jump in. This isn't gonna be a real long game. So, selected opponents, great. I hate these guys. But I guess we'll keep them anyway. I'm assuming that this is somewhat balanced. Beginner? No. Let's just do normal. All right. I do not want to create a new opponent. Opponents, just blah, blah, blah. We're going to go next. All right. So, yeah, Galciv 2 is actually really cool. All right. So, quarterly report. Top 1 most powerful civs, the Terran Alliance. We're the only ones we know about, so that's an easy. Out of 1, we're the top. Yes. So the galaxy has become a tense place since the major civilizations obtained hyperdrive technology. A race has been on to explore, expand, colonize, and in some cases conquer the galaxy. Through technological research, we can gain the ability to build freighters to trade with our civilizations. We can also research military-related technologies to equip our ships with weapons and build transports to invade other worlds if we so choose. There are also logistics technologies that will allow us that will allow us to better organize our ships and build more starbases. As we explore the galaxy, we will encounter situations that will help us learn what kind of civilization we're building. Should we take the path of power and darkness or the path of light and enlightenment? Our decisions will help set the state of our ethical alignment, which will greatly affect our relation with other civilizations. Yeah, okay, I remember that now. I don't remember everything about it, but I remember it. Okay, done. Awesome. So we need to pick new, what is this? Research, yes. There's a way to make this bigger. Is it more? More. Wonderful. Yes. Okay, so this is kind of linear development, kind of like Civ, but not so constrained to like a linear line. But I'm like holding my hand up and moving. That doesn't really work, does it? Although I will point out, I actually prefer watching, especially strategy games like this, with a face cam. Like when I'm watching other people, I just prefer that. I know a lot of people don't, which is mainly why I don't do it, and for the fact that I'm funny looking. Yes, so there we go. So this is primarily military down here, if I remember correctly. Yeah, interstellar warfare. We start out there, and it goes all the way over. And some of these, you'll notice like this is one research, right? There's just one thing here, and we get plus 10% to military production. This is primary and unlock, and this is a consolation prize, pretty much. Same thing here. Space militarization, we get recruiting center, orbital command, military production, unlock. Okay. Now from here, we can jump to space weapons, space defenses, or stellar war colleges, right? And on each of these, it's going to tell us down here 14 weeks to finish this. This is obviously based on our current research output. And some of these, however, let me find one here. Yeah, here, like lasers. We get beam weapon theory. This is a pure unlock. They don't even give you a consolation prize. It's like, you know what? You're just burning the research just to let you work down the thing. So it's theory, right? So you're just figuring out, you know, you're figuring out what you need to figure out. Okay. And then you get into lasers. This is 3 points here though, right? And you have to, and they get progressively more expensive, obviously, right? But this will give you laser. This will give you laser Mark II and laser Mark III. Some of these get more, a lot of them are very linear like that, you know, Mark I, Mark II, Mark III. Some of them will give you different things on each thing. It depends. And then there's some really big one like star-based miniaturization. Militarization, sorry. There is miniaturization. That's why I said that. We'll get to that here pretty soon. And these have, these pretty much are just upgrading the rank of this same thing. And then we have planetary defense. We'll give you planetary defense as an item or probably a building. Soldering plus 10. This just upgrades your soldering by itself. This gives you a mega defense system, whatever that is. All right. So as an example, that's pretty much how the structure of the tech works. So this is primary military. This is like interior type stuff, you know, logistics, normal tech, which you would consider tech in and of itself. And this is more diplomatic, right? In fact, almost all of this is diplomatic. Almost all of these, this little icon right here, which actually we can see better right here, boom, little justice scales, which really what's funny is diplomacy has very little to do with justice. It's more about manipulation than anything. These all give you bonuses to diplomacy, right? There are some buildings here, Galactic Showcase, blah, 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 which usually have something to do with diplomacy, but they're primarily all diplomacy and influence, which we will get to soon. Influence is somewhat like culture in Civ 4. You can actually flip things that don't belong to you because the people who live there will decide that they would rather be, you know, under your thumb than the thumb they were under before, which may or may not be a good idea, but that's all about influence and how much influence you're exerting, if that makes sense. We'll get to that eventually. All right, diplomacy is going to be a big part of this. That's one of the reasons that I went with the Terran stuff. You'll notice that as Terrans, we start with all of this unlocked, including capitalism, so we have access to market center. This is pretty high up the tree here to have. We also start with hyperdrive. I think everyone starts with hyperdrive. I think the only reason this exists on this tech tree is that I think you can turn this off for everyone, so it actually takes even longer for everyone to get started, if that makes sense. All right, so what are we going to choose? Actually, let me pop out of here for a second so we can look at the other stuff. This is our planet view. Let me hit escape. No, I don't want to hit escape. This is one of those games where hitting escape always takes you to the menu and not out of Windows, and I have to remember that. Okay, so this is technically a 3D game, but it's kind of like, you know, like a lot of times you'll be playing like this, and you know, I rarely ever do this, for example. In fact, that kind of throws me off. All right, so what we have here, or I'll look almost straight down, or just like that, so I don't have to have the nebula in the background, so I can see things. Yay! All right, so this is Earth. This is us right now. If we double click on this, we'll take you to this. Right, this is very familiar terrain. Obviously, these are building slots. These are buildings. So we have this is our capital civilization. We pretty much start out with this. It's on a prairie. They might have dogs. We don't know. This is a starport. We start here. Planets do not usually start with this. And these green boxes are places that we can build things. This one requires, it will be buildable, but we have to get soil enhancement research to be able to build it. And then I think that we actually have to build the soil enhancement as a build queue item to make that accessible. All right. And there's going to be things like this on a lot of planets. this is actually a pretty nice planet as far as the ability to build this many buildings. These things here, you'll notice this has a 300% manufacturing bonus. So if we build a factory here, we get 300% output from that factory than if we built it here. This has a 100% influence bonus. So if we build a building that generates influence, it'll generate twice as much. All right. That's pretty, straightforward. What I'm going to do, especially since we're at the very beginning of the game, we don't have any research bonuses here. So I'm actually going to go like up here and I'm going to do, let's see, factories will allow us to build things faster, but research is really important. So we're going to go with research lab. Now, this is our total output up here. So you'll notice we have military and social and research. Social pretty much is building stuff on the planet. Research is obviously researching, and military is building stuff in space. Like, even if you're building a military building down here, I still think that's social output, if I remember correctly. Okay, so right now, this is pretty much balanced, but I can say I want to throw everything we've got at research, not everything, but focus on research. So you'll notice that if I turn that off, this research lab is 8 weeks, which is 8 turns. If I put this on research, this jumps to 14 weeks, but our research will go faster, right? So that's how that works. I'm going to actually turn this off for the time being. In fact, if I put this on social, this will drop to 5 weeks, and we only lose 1 off of research. So that's actually probably a good trade-off. So we're going to do that because we'll gain 3 weeks off that, and then that extra research goes into that. So this research lab, for example, which I can't see now. Can I pull it out of here now so I can actually see it? Here. It'll cost us 2 billion credits, and we will get 4 TP out of it. So as an example, currently we are generating, is it down here? It's down here somewhere. This is, we're actually generating 28 BC a week. I don't like this font. This is one of those fonts where the 8 sometimes looks like a 2, unless it's right next to a 2, like now, where it's easy to tell. So yeah, it's like, we have 8 billion credits. No, what is this? No, that's our population, 8 billion. Population matters a lot in this game, by the way. It's almost a currency in and of itself, and I'll explain that later. All right, yeah, so we are netting, currently 23 billion credits a week extra because our expenses are only 5. So after we build this research center, which is going to cost 2, our expenses will be 7 at that point. All right. And just to be clear, new colonies you have don't necessarily pay for themselves immediately or ever, depending on where you actually place them. So you got to be cognizant of that. All right. So we're going to build a research lab. We'll put it here. Actually, bump, research lab, 5 weeks. We're going to put it on social. Great. Let's go back to research. Actually, we're doing interstellar warfare right now, which we don't actually want to do. Not currently. What I'm more interested in is getting, well, Xeno communications would be great. Which one of these actually opens up? Embassy, diplomatic translators, interstellar embassy, diplomacy, cultural exchange center, alliances. So this one will actually open up alliance. I think if you or maybe it's less. You bring it down here. So we go to Xeno communications, right? This actually shows you, if you have the more here, this actually gives you a list of things that you actually have available to research right now. And you can jump through them right now, right? This will get longer, like as you unlock something that has like 8 options below it as children on the tree, they'll show up here. But for now, you can do this. So we have new propulsion techniques we can do here. We also have artificial gravity, which is here. Now, artificial gravity will give us population growth, which is nice, and hyperdrive plus. Population growth is actually something we may want to do. It's 7 weeks currently, but our only research production, which is Earth, is currently focused on social, so it's probably less than this. What will this take? 6 weeks. I'm going to do this because population growth is important, and I'll explain that in just a second. So we're set to population anti-gravity, 7 weeks. Great. Our approval is 74%. That will matter as well. And we're building something on Earth. Yes. Okay. Now let's look at our current stuff. Currently, we have our Terran Alliance flagship. It's the only war-capable ship we have at all. In fact, it's not war-capable at all, it seems. This is beam, missile, and mass drivers, which is pretty much kinetic. Think a bullet. And shields, point defense, and armor, which are the defenses against these. What we're going to do is I'm going to actually automate this flagship. And the reason why is there are little things like this anomaly right here. In fact, let's do this manually so we can see this. The galaxy is not a tidy place. We see scattered about evidence of long-gone civilizations, unknown artifacts, or survey ships can explore these anomalies and find ways for them to benefit our citizens. Well, that's saying it easier than I could. Well, we should only, I think, get that one time. What we usually get is this. So we stumbled across an ancient formula used by a lost race to improve the quality of their people. Using this formula, our scientists have devised a serum to strengthen our soldiers by 1%. Awesome. And that's it. We just get that for free. Now, all of these anomalies, you actually have to have, I believe it's a survey module on your ship, and we'll get to that. But yeah, and he's the only one we have that has it at the moment. So I'm going to automate him, and he's just going to go do that as he wills. Now, these are colonies. Okay, this is a space miner and a colony ship. The reason they look the same is they're probably on the same ship frame, which we'll get to eventually. This is an influence resource. Awesome. What is this? An ascension crystal. Okay. So, ooh, there's a wormhole right there. That is interesting. I don't necessarily want a wormhole that close to my capital. Okay. Well, anyway, this is a colony ship, which is obviously used for colonizing planets. Yay. One of the things we're going to do here is we have asteroids here. Earth has a very low output total. In fact, I think, is it here? No, this is spending. Our maintenance is 0 currently. That'll go up to 2 after we get this built. Does it show our total output somewhere? I think it does. I'm just not seeing it. But anyway, okay, great. We'll get more of that if we can set up some mining on these asteroid fields. Okay, so the way we do that is we do a space miner. We put it here. Yay, and you'll notice that the moment, I don't even have to press anything. It's like he sees an asteroid, he's like, oh my God, I'm gonna build on that. And it's not there yet, right? He's building right now. And that will take, the color on this font is bad. This game was made back before like real hardcore UI stuff was being put into games, but it's still an amazing game. 4 weeks. Okay. In fact, we might be able to click on it. Yes, right here. Construction time is 4 weeks. Great. That's easier. All right. So let me look here. I know we haven't actually taken a turn yet, but we're going to. You'll notice that this planet here, which is Quindor 2, and it has this little red thing. That means that to colonize this, we require heavy gravity colonization. And there's a whole list of these. There's like toxic colonization, things that, you know, we look at Venus, for example, and we're like, if we wanted to colonize Venus, which technically is doable, per my understanding, I'm sure someone else will scream at me and tell me I'm wrong, is doable, then we will need to develop the technology as a population to be able to survive in a hot, toxic area, right, on a toxic planet, and provide whatever resources we need to survive that are not there, right? So that's pretty much what this is, and there are multiple different types of planets. So this planet is off limits to us. It's off limits to anyone unless they have that specific technology, which we'll get later. Okay. For now, it's interesting having 2 stars this close together. This is actually odd. I've never actually played a game like this. Listen right here. Uninhabitable. Uninhabitable. I wish there was a way to be like, hey, show me all the habitable planets. Highlight them or something. This is habitable. Class 4. Earth is a class... Will it tell me what class ship it is? It's a class 10, which is nice, I believe. But this is habitable. In fact, if we double click on it, actually we can't see anything. Oh, it's Mars, which would make sense. Jupiter's uninhabitable, obviously. Saturn's uninhabitable, obviously. Baldar 1, not sure what it is, but it is uninhabitable. And we'll get into these things later. This one, uninhabitable and uninhabitable. But there's significant amount of resources over here, which we can still use. We can actually come over here and build mines on these asteroids, and they will ship stuff to the closest planet. But the distance that you ship, I think it actually costs you efficiency, so you get less out of them, if that makes sense. So, okay, we're gonna take our first turn, and that's it. Yay, we're done. No, okay. For now, though, this is pretty much our territory, we'll say. Now, just to be clear, that unlike Civ or a lot of other 4Xs, entering someone else's territory is not a declaration of war. You're just in their territory, and usually it doesn't even cause any problems. I mean, you know, if you start putting a massive amount of military units in someone's territory, they're probably going to get a little bit concerned. But yeah, that's uninhabitable. And we saw that one already. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're pretty much just continuing to work on our research, work on our building, and find an anomalies. What is this? I'm just going to skip a lot of this stuff, blah, blah, blah. This is actually strengthen our soldiers by 1% again. Interesting. And there's another one they got too. Royal escort is no sign of foul play, and the cargo hold is full of expensive goods worth 500 billion credits. Nice. Which is actually a lot of cash considering we're down to 3702, which is quite nice. All right. How are we doing on this build? 3 weeks left. Wonderful. As we go through these turns real quick, this is sure to improve the loyalty of our citizens by 1%, which I believe will impact our overall approval rating, is the deal with that. What was I going to talk about? Oh, I was going to talk about population as a currency. And I say a currency, not that you actually buy things with it. Increase our diplomacy ability by 1%. Awesome. By the way, we can pick these things up in other people's territory as well. You can actually send a colony ship to a planet in someone else's territory, which is not colonized, and colonize it. Seriously. It's quite interesting. These are obviously other civilizations we've run into. We haven't actually met them yet, but we will. When you colonize a planet, okay, you load population onto a colony ship. You lose the population at the source planet, and you move them to the new planet. Okay, boom. So, and the amount of population that you can send depends on how many colony modules you have on the ship. Okay, and it's a balancing act because you're removing population, which directly impacts the ability to make money on a planet and your production of a planet and all that stuff, and you are moving it to a new planet. So the new planet has a bigger head start if you send more, but the source planet has less. Okay, that's not actually so it's a kind of self-limits how fast you can expand. Okay, the other thing is, what do we got here? 500 BC. Awesome. We're gonna get there. Boom. Okay, so this research lab is completed on Earth. We now are building nothing. So we're going to do a go-to. We have a research lab here. We're going to remove this. This is going to come back up to 6, and you'll notice that now, well, I don't know if this updates immediately. I think it does. Next here, we've got influence and a factory we can build here. We're definitely going to build a factory. Where's our factory? Traditional factory. Boom. That's going to take 7 weeks. In fact, we're going to continue on the social here so we can get this done, because this will add overall to our building on Earth, which is nice. And that little icon there shows that we're focused on social production, and that little icon shows that there's actually a ship in orbit, which there are no ships in orbit, but there's a ship close. Is there not? Oh, no. You know what I think that means? I think that means that there's actually a starport. Yeah, and that means that this is our capital, and that's our little icon. The other thing is that when you try to take over a enemy planet, which happens, you don't just go and take over the enemy planet. You can destroy other ships, but you have to invade the planet. And to give you an idea of how important this is as a mechanic or as a concept, to do this, you actually have to have, where is it? Planetary invasion. Right here. Planetary invasion allows us to build troop transport modules on our ships. We can't even build the modules to transport the troops until we actually have this base research right here. And then those things that you saw before, which had to do with, let me see here, soldiering plus 5%. The reason that that's really important is that when you send troops to a foreign planet, you have to load population from the source planet. They get trained as soldiers, they get put on the ship, and you send them there. And when they invade, they die. Not all of them, you hope, but that may happen if it's like somebody's capital or a very large world where they have a lot of troops. They will die, and the population's gone. Poof. I actually remember playing a game where I was invading someone's homeworld. They had started a war with me. I would never start a war with someone else. I'm a very nice person. And they had like 30,000 troops on there, and I think they were robotic, which made them even worse. And I literally burned like 15 billion people in like 7 trips or something, taking that capital world. It was hectic. Now you can choose to do other things like use mass drivers to like bombard the planet with with asteroids, which will get rid of a lot of the population. But what it does is these slots that you can build things on, it destroys them. Not all of them, but sometimes all of them, but a lot of them, depending on what you do. You can also use, depending on what tech you have, you can use viruses and all types of things to limit the population, but there's always a downside. So if you want to keep everything intact where you can use it, or the majority of stuff that you can use, including the buildings even that they've already built, you got to do like a land invasion. And sometimes it's bad news. So, all right. We're over here. This is a meteorite. That's where he's going. Is this, what is this? Uninhabitable? This moon? I don't think you can actually get to the moon. No, you can't. Okay. What is this? Military resource. Okay, so these resources here, and actually what we're gonna do here, we're gonna do a build ship. I probably should have started this already. In fact, not probably, I should have. This is all, by the way, on the quick build list. This is ships we've created, and these are core ships that are just like core stuff that's there already, and that's fine for the time being. So I'm gonna build a constructor, and we're gonna do done. It's gonna take 80 weeks. Yeah, probably not gonna take that long, forever. But yeah, and actually, you know what? What we're gonna do? Hold on. I want to build a constructor so that I can show it to you, but what we really should probably do is build another space miner. 70 weeks. It's cheaper too. Yay! All right. So we're gonna do a turn. By chance, okay, blah, 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 strengthen our soldiers by 1%. Awesome. That strengthen our soldiers there, that's what it's talking about. Doing actually planetary invasions, whatever tech we can do to strengthen our soldiers, the more prepared they're going to be to go into battle, and the less we'll lose of them, which are an actual population. It's not like we the population count between stuff that fights like abroad, we'll call it, and at home it's the same population. So that's something very, very viable to keep in mind, and it does definitely change how you play a game. Diplomacy abilities 1%. Okay, I'm going to talk about so what is this? Who knows? Spoils await there. Random sector of the galaxy. Yeah, they went through the wormhole, and they couldn't get back. That's wonderful. I didn't really necessarily want them to go through the wormhole, but okay, fine. So we met these guys, the Taurian Confederation. We need to now this is one of the cool things about this game, right? We can't understand them. We need to research universal translator technology. We can't understand them, which is really cool, actually. So we're definitely going to probably do that next, and that's actually, we don't even have access to it. It's probably Xenocommunications. Let's see here. Let's go to more. Yep, universal translators and extra. So we have to research this and then research this before we can even talk to them. Now, the thing is about, and I don't even know, I forgot to start the timer. I don't even know how long I've been recording. Artificial gravity perfected. Artificial gravity is a technology that is the direct result of having immense amounts of energy at hand. The applications of artificial gravity are both obvious and subtle. The obvious application is that ships can now travel for extended periods through space with negative gravity levels without compromising the ship design with fragile and unreliable physical motion devices. Like, ships do not have to spin their hulls to maintain gravity. The historical fleets of the Dringan Empire and the Arcean Empire in the pre-artificial gravity era are very obvious. Their hulls spin on a superconducting pivot powered by regulated microbursts of thrust to keep the spinning consistent. Needless to say, these ships would not be reliable in battle. The Dringan fleet that conquered the Taurian homeworld in the pre-hyperdrive era were all without artificial gravity and relied on a Stargate that still resulted in a travel time of nearly a year. Two of the troop carriers in that journey had a malfunction in their rotational axis control during the journey, resulting in having over 25,000 Dringan shock troops having to live out their remaining lives in space. Is there more? I think there's more. Fortunately, the lives of those Dringan shock troops was short since they were soon converted into fuel. How nice. Another key use is that it can be used to channel gravity on planets, which allows for more serious planetary improvements. Wonderful, wonderful. So we got that. We're going to do Xenocommunications now, which is 4 weeks. Awesome. How is our, we have 1 week left on the factory. Then we'll probably turn this over to either research or military. This 2 up here is the reason why this space miner is taking so long to build. Boom. Okay, we're now building nothing. Go to, what else do we want to be building here? We have a factory. I'm actually thinking about building another research lab because research is important, or we could do a market center, although we're not really low. We're spending 26, maintenance is 4. Actually, are we making money at all? Come on. Thank you. We're making money. Yeah, we're making 29. Actually, we're making more money now. Why are we making more money now? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, because our population is growing, so we're producing more. That makes sense. Okay. So I'm not going to build a market yet. Market center. Innovation complex actually gives us an influence bonus and a creativity bonus. Creativity is actually very interesting. The higher your creativity, the more almost luck you'll have in more or less stumbling over a research innovation. There's been researches I've had in the past, which I had like, 30 turns left on, and like 3 turns into it suddenly I went boom, and they tripped over the answer, and I got the research. Boom. It's great. And that's actually, I believe that's the creativity bonus. It's either creativity or luck, but I think it's creativity. You'll notice that this is considered a super project as well, which is really interesting. Although we could build it in 6 weeks. Why is that? That could be build you in 6 weeks. Now, this is an influence bonus of 25%. So we're actually generating 53 IP, which is actually quite high because it's our capital. So if we put this here, it would actually generate even more influence going out, etc. And there's other ways you can generate influence other than just planets, and we'll get to those in the future. Basic farm increases our pop cap. Right now, we're capped at 12 billion people. We're 8.7. I don't know what, let's see here. Where food production is 12 megatons, I assume, per week. Does it show? It usually shows our population growth. I don't know what it is. We'll have to see. But I'm thinking of actually building another research lab, here. Yes, it's doing it there. 3 weeks, awesome. But I'm gonna put this into research for the moment because I want to show. So we have 2 weeks left on the Xeno communications. Boom. One help our weaponry by roughly 1%. Look at this. He's actually grabbing and help our vessels in battle by about 1%. He's actually seen, he's grabbing anomalies in other people's territory. Xeno communications perfected, great. Okay, so now we're gonna do universal translator, which is 5. Same problem here, we can't talk to them. Okay, top 3 most powerful civs. Hey, we're number 1. That means that that's really sad considering we have no more ships than what we started with. And is this even done? Oh, it is done. This is one thing I don't like about this. This model is inside this rock, so sometimes it's difficult to even notice. So actually, I'm just going to send him over here. Boom, and he's going to start doing the same thing. Now you'll notice this little line here, which is moving. Boop, boop, boop. That, which would be nice if you clicked on it, if it like highlighted that maybe. You'll notice it's pushing to Earth, and it's pushing +3 industry. Okay, so it's pushing that to Earth. It has a distance of 4 parsecs. And the level 104, you can upgrade these as you get more technology, which is really cool. And the next level is intermediate industrial, which it requires, it requires space mining, which we'll get eventually. And we'll upgrade this and we'll be pushing even more. But now that we have that, you'll notice that we're pushing a significant amount more production through this whole area, which is very nice. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna get our universal translator and then we're gonna talk it out. Probably an anomaly. They found nothing. That does happen from time to time. Now we have this. This is habitable right here. Yeah, Mars. So what I think we're gonna do is we're gonna go here. Boom. You can actually orbit ships, which is what we want. And you'll notice that Space Miner's at 19 weeks now, even though we're focused on research. But that's probably because this popped, and so we have all this extra production coming through here. I'm not sure if building that space miner immediately. No, but because we have all this down here as well. And you can change where these will output their stuff. And by the way, these mines have people living on them. And if they get within the influence zone of someone else for long enough, they will just decide to send all their stuff to a different planet, even if it's right next to one of yours. It does happen. It's actually quite cool. Okay, so we're going to come in here. We're going to do an alliance. We're going to, how do we do this? Right. Oh, we can't do anything right now. Wait, is it launch ship? Yes, launch ship. We're going to choose available population. Now, we can only choose 500 million people because we only have 1 colony module on this ship. So we're going to do launch. Bloop. There's now 500 million people on that ship. Yay. Now, we need to go here because it's the only habitable planet around. I don't think we can actually, there's no moon colonization in this. So we're going to go here. Bloop. We can name it. We'll say Mars. It's done. After being trapped on Earth for thousands of years, we have finally begun colonization of our newest home, While most of our citizens embrace this adventurous spirit, we will also have to be wary of the dangers that lie in uncharted space. Some races wish only to expand, others wish to dominate through extermination. Caution is advised. Boom, look, Mars. So yeah, we have this, and you'll notice that we have no, there's no starport. We can't build ships here, which for now is fine. Right now, we have very little, like domestic output here. So, and you'll notice on these, we need soil enrichment to even get access to them. There's other things that you can get later, like full-scale terraforming and stuff like that, which, if I remember correctly, allow you to open up a bunch more of this stuff. I think all of it, pretty much, on any planet, which is cool. So this is our initial colony. This is just a thing. It just stays there, I think, forever. I don't think you ever actually get rid of this, ever. This is what provides you, like, your base inputs, right? So, as an example, this colony has an income of 5 billion credits. It's spending 12. Okay. So for instance, this probably hasn't updated, but on the next turn, we're subsidizing this planet, obviously, right? That's just how it goes. We're actually going to build, we have 8 billion max on here, but we're not going to reach that for a while. I'm going to put a factory here, and that's what that's going to work on for right now. And we're going to be focused on social. We want to get it built up. Now, this one, when it pops, will probably go to Mars. We may do that. Yeah, we may put like 2 of these on Earth and 1 on Mars. It depends. We haven't found any other asteroid fields, although we haven't actually went out looking. We should build a scout as well. So yeah, 19 weeks, 3 weeks on that. All right, so I'm gonna put a cut here to take a little break. I went through the very basics of the game, and we started constructions. We've got our first planet colonized. This has went a bit longer than I had wanted. I wanted to keep these, 20, 25 minutes or so. But yeah, I wanted to get the basics knocked out so that you got a good feel for the game and stuff like that. Thank you for hanging out. Please give me a like if you're interested in seeing more of this. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.